Cyderbaby. This is for Rock Radio UK, and today I'm speaking to Ara Valley. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Uh, right. I mean, I know nothing about you guys except for that you got an EP coming out middle of October, which we'll talk about later. So, how the devil are you for the first question, and where have you sprung from is the second question.
So, Devil Are We? We're very well, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Good.
And sprung from, we're from West Midlands, so spanning from Shropshire down to Redditch, and been together as a full band since 2022, around then. It initially started off as like a studio project over COVID,
Right.
because obviously with COVID hitting, that's when me and Aaron first started working together. But I actually remember Aaron from 10 years prior to that playing at an open mic night in Dudley. There's something about his voice that I remember from that night. And then when I was looking to start a project up, I was on a website called joinmyband.com.
Yeah.
I found a guy that was saying that he's looking to start something up. I went on his demos and I recognised his voice. I was like, I'm sure that's a guy from that open mic night. So 10 years later, we're now, with two EPs and a single down and playing together. So it's a small world.
It is. It is.
My initial response to Luke saying, because when Luke first listened to the tracks, his response to my message was, "Oh my God, it's you." And I was like, and obviously just looking at a forum screen, I'm like, sorry, what? I replied, I'm like, is everything okay?
I see. It wasn't from some other shady kind of dark internet
Oh no.
forum that
Like I didn't. He hasn't touched me up on nights out or anything. I didn't run for that reason. But yeah. I think when you sort of listen to his vocals in our work, he's got a very distinctive voice. And when I was sort of between projects trying to get something going again, I remember thinking, I wonder what he's doing, and just found him randomly online. So yeah, he was nice, very nice coincidence.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, the style of music, to explain to the listeners who may have not have heard of you or Arrow Valley, your style of music is very much metal, but not too dark and heavy. It is pretty good vocals, a bit of growly vocals, but good metal work, as in guitar work and stuff like that. Solid drumming, solid bass lines. So, I mean, is that a fair assumption of your musical coloring?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I think we describe ourselves as if you took the Kerrang kind of like Scuzz era, put it in a blender, and tried to create an originals band. That's kind of what you get. So
Yeah.
we are fortunate that a lot of us coming together in this band was through a lot of happy accidents. So me and Luke
Right.
being in a band accidentally together, not at the same time, but kind of Aaron and Luke meeting each other 10 years ago, and then meeting up with Nick and a boss as well. We all like the same stuff.
Right.
So the fact that there's like Kill Switch influences in there, there's Alter Bridge influences, there's definite Tremonti, there's loads of stuff kind of from that era. If you listen to the latest track, Ode, there's
Yeah.
a lot of Funeral for a Friend kind of influences in there. By Design, which is a new track which will be coming out in October, is very double bass heavy.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate that we can kind of write for us and do whatever we want to do. I personally lean on the metal stuff a hell of a lot more. But to us, if it feels like a great song and it feels like a great track, we'll just produce it. Because we're not trying to create a necessarily succinct album. We can just do whatever we want. If we want to do something that's more Nordic influence, that's more melodic, we can. If we want to do something that's more pop punk, we can. If we want to do something that's more Alter Bridge or Kill Switch, we can kind of blend all of those influences together, which is really great. So yeah, it's a fair assessment, but it's constantly changing. I think for people who haven't heard the EP or our previous work, certainly this new EP, there's a lot of difference between one track and the next. So it's going to be really interesting hearing the feedback and what people's favorites are, because we know what ours are. My personal favorite is the Killing Fields, which you won't have heard yet. But then for the guys in the band, their favorites will be completely different to that, and that's great. It keeps it fresh. So
It's so is writing amongst all of you rather than just one or two of you, or are you all putting a little bit into the pot and
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a bit of a mismatch. What I tend to do is I'll record something really awful on my phone that's at a time. There's no chemistry to this thing whatsoever. It's just pure chaos, and I send it to Luke, or I'll send it to Nick, or I'll send it to both of them really, and I'll be like, "Can you polish this turd for me?" Basically, and they will turn this turd into a very shiny disc, and it'll be lovely. But yeah, no, honestly, it's a case of whatever happens in the moment, I think. And Luke will send me something, Nick will send me something, I'll send Nick, I'll send Luke, and we'll send things in the group chat with Mark and Abbas to look over as well. And then we get a million ideas and we're overwhelmed, especially with the amount of tracks that we've all got penciled down as well. So, but it just comes out of thin air. Sometimes it'd be like listening to a track, wouldn't it? Love that track, and then all of a sudden you pick up the guitar and by accident you play that track and you got to work it backwards and try and think of something new. But
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's all influence, I think, lifestyle influence, and yeah. Anyway,
Right. So let's talk about the EP Embodiment. Well, actually, let's talk about the first one.
Yeah.
What was that called, and when did that come out? So people can actually go and hear that now, I assume. So
Yeah, that's called You're Not Alone, and that came out 2020, 2022. And that was back when it was a studio project, so that was
Yeah.
just me and Aaron. So that was, I think every song was from Aaron's back catalogue. Yeah, yes. Oh, yeah, of course. So this is Aaron. It was Aaron's back catalogue with stuff that Aaron wrote with Nick.
Yeah.
And there were the majority of them were just acoustic tracks. So it's Aaron sat with an acoustic. They're on your SoundCloud. Yeah. I remember when you sent your links over on when we first started speaking, they're on your SoundCloud, and I just took the acoustic tracks and built them up to a full band setup. And it was great how they just started as bare bones, one vocal, one acoustic, and then just flesh it out, add riffs, pop the drums in, and then we ended up with You're Not Alone.
Okay.
And yeah, and we still love playing those tracks. And since we've got the full band together, it's interesting seeing again the evolution of it from how me and Aaron put it together for the EP and how we now play it live. It still very much sounds like the EP, but there's so much more flair there. Because obviously I'm not a drummer. Anyone these days with a decent computer can program some drums in, but having Bristow do his thing on the tracks, he just takes it that level further.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was very much back when it was a project, and then once restrictions lifted, it's like let's put a band together and actually play these songs live.
Okay. So you was the initial thought just as a project, just to kill time at the beginning, then, or was it?
I think kind of it was more so that we had time. Yeah, we had a lot of time to kill, and we didn't really discuss it. It just happened naturally that we shared songs with each other, and just built them up. But I think as soon as we started to hear how they were sounding with, Aaron's songs and my production, we went, wow, this is sounding really good. And then it was kind of just natural progression. There was no real discussion really. It just kind of happened very naturally. And we were just lucky that from previous bands and current bands that we're playing as well, we had people in mind to fill those spaces.
Okay. So tell me about Embodiment then.
Anyone else want to drive? No.
He's very quiet back there, isn't he?
yeah.
not an orator.
I suppose Embodiment, going back to the previous stuff on like who was in mind for the last record. So I remember taking a trip up to Liverpool with Luke, in a tribute band that we're in. And then, again, the fact that Luke's in the tribute band, that was purely a happy accident, the way that that happened. And he goes, "Oh, do you mind if I play some stuff for you?" And I was like, yeah, absolutely fine. No worries. Connected up to the Bluetooth in the car and started playing You're Not Alone. And I'm pretty certain that my first reaction was, is this an Alter Bridge B-side that I've never heard? And he said, no, actually, it's a project that I'm involved in. And I immediately said, I'm in. I said, if you need a drummer, I'm in. And
I purposely didn't ask him because I just thought you were too busy. Like if I'd have known that he had a bit of space in his diary, I would have asked sooner. So it was nice that he invited himself.
So it was the subtle hinting, was it?
well, not only that, I think, yeah, the guitarist that we've got in the other band that we're in as well, Mike. I showed it to him, and he was like, is this Tremonti or Alter Bridge?" Again, his reaction to it was kind of the same. So it was fantastic, kind of coming into that and learning all that stuff. Because again, with programmed drums, producers such as Luke and any other producer that I've worked with have this tendency to assume that we have 8 limbs, and that we can play as fast as we need to play. So a lot of the stuff that was on that particular record was exceptionally fast, or different to what I was used to, and there were certain phrases and certain patterns that were put in there, and I looked at it and went, "There's no way that he thought about the human element of this," which was great for my progression. And then when it comes to embodiment, I think it's great that we've got like more eyes and ears on it, in terms of more influence. So, you know, the tracks that are in there, as Luke's mentioned, Aaron will send stuff to Luke, and then we'll push things around the WhatsApp, and it will completely develop. So it will start out as one riff that sounds one way, and then there'll be a tempo change, or there'll be a phrasing change because of the drums. And I'll listen to one single riff and know exactly where the drums are going to be. Luke might write something, and it will sound completely different. So we're able to bounce off each other all the time, and with the benefits of kind of like modern technology, you don't have to wait to be in a studio to get a demo out to then change it before you then go to the final product. And I think it's really been a lot of A and B in with that particular record, and working out what's gonna work and what's not gonna work, and what we like and what we don't like. But I think we'll only sign off on it if we like it ourselves first of all. If other people like it as well, fantastic. But we have to be proud of it first. We pulled in a lot of favors as well from Chris at Vault Studios, who produced the drums as well. So we're very fortunate that we've got this network of people around us that can help us along the journey in terms of production. And I think, as I said before, people are going to be very surprised that we don't really have a singular theme for this particular EP. The Killing Fields is very much in one direction. Ode is in a completely another direction. Y is kind of a blend of both, and then you've got By Design, which is brutal on my part. Again, that was another element of Bristow. Where are you comfortable playing in terms of drums, in terms of BPM? Yeah, Luke, I'm comfortable at this level. All right, okay, I'm going to raise it by 20%. All right, cheers, dude. Thanks for that. So there's a lot of that involved as well, which is great, which it keeps things fresh because it pushes us on. It's not that we're not just playing within our comfort zone, we're playing outside of that as well. So hopefully that comes across.
One thing is, I think with Embodiment, the fact it is so diverse, it'll be interesting what songs are popular, and in many ways it might inform what we do next time.
Right.
So it, like Bristow said, it is very diverse, and we are genuinely interested to see which tracks land well. And we're totally open to pursuing a certain direction if that's what people are digging.
Yeah. I mean, for myself, By Design and All Good Things are probably my favorite 2 tracks.
Awesome. You know, it's great. It's great hearing that feedback, because it's you know, I suppose they're in a similar vein. They're quite anthemic and quite orchestral sort of related. Those are the ones where it's the most sort of like, you know, keyboards and production. Yeah, totally. I mean, I can see your Dio display in the background, and that sort of that Dio approach to sort of like big anthemic thing. Like for me, I'm a massive 80s metal guy, so a lot of sort of my influence goes into that sort of element.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, it's really interesting. I think when the EP lands and we see the streaming figures, we're just intrigued. Yeah, yeah, that's it. And like I said, we're not adverse to whatever works well, doing a bit more of that.
But don't you think actually the diversity in the actual EP works for you, because that brings so many different people to the gig, to the, to see you live?
I happen to agree with what you're saying. I like the fact that it's diverse and it
Mm.
reaches out to many different audiences. We're not putting ourselves in a box and saying this is what we are. What we're doing is we're writing songs that start to shape what we all are as a unit together. So when I
Yeah.
bring an idea in, I don't expect the idea to be, this is my idea, we're going to use this, it's going to be that, and that's it. When I give something to the rest of the lads, I'm looking for their differences and what they can give to my idea, what their ideas are too.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. Like Luke and I will send things back and forth until Ode, for example, that song took forever to write. So we had the first half of that song was sat still for about 6 months, wasn't it? Roughly 6 months. And then out of nowhere, Luke sends me something and goes, okay, this is going to be a bit strange, but try this after this section. And he sent me the track with, because Ode is in 2 sections, more or less. It's in that sort of like that funeral for a friend element, and then it changes over to something to completely different. Like, it really doesn't. I can't even put a word to what it is.
I think I just finished. It was.
Oh yeah.
So, like we struggled with Ode for 6 months, and Aaron had the melody when it goes quiet, about halfway through. I was thinking that's such a really great melody, and we just rather than we were trying to push it somewhere, and we just use that melody again. You know, that melody that Aaron wrote for the quiet section in the middle deserved to be heard again. And as soon as we did that, he just flew out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that it would, but it was influenced by what Luke sent me, and
Yeah.
so we went with the melody, and then that song just built itself essentially, and then we sent it to Mark and Abbas because unfortunately Nick wasn't with us at that time, and was brought in at the beginning of this year, but so Nick hasn't had much input on this EP, which is why he's sat here quiet. Like, because what would you like to know about the EP? Yeah, Nick. But yeah, and all the other tracks just came together in various different ways. It was by design. Luke sent me, and I loved it because it was like a Euro metal sort of style, and I was like, I've never done anything like this before. This is new to me, but this is so Luke, and it was so very much Luke. And I was sat there looking at my desktop, which was like changing scenery, like beautiful scenes in nature, and as every time it changed, I was just sat there, and I was going, "The fuck is wrong with humanity?" And the song just got wrote out at that moment there, and I was just like, "This is so beautiful. Why can't we see it?" You know. So that's by design. All Good Things is very sentimental because it was about a loss that we experienced in the band. Nick's father passed away, and my very good friend was moving back to Spain, and so All Good Things is like everything comes to an end eventually.
Yeah.
You know, and it's about all the connections we build in our lives, and then just for them all to disappear one day. And so that's what All Good Things is about. That one was sat at home, upset, acoustic, and it just chorus. Sent it to Luke. Luke polished the shit out of it, and we had a nice glass glass song. The Killing Fields. That was you again sending me another track.
I've had that track in the back catalogue for about 6 or 7 years.
Right.
And I'll be, sort of waiting for the right project to throw it at. So that was just like good to go. So it's nice to finally get that out of my life.
Found the perfect EP to throw it on. That's it. It's done. It's a yeah. Yeah. And then Why, of course, was again just another acoustic moment with a chorus, and that was it. Anyway, I'm sure I'm just gagging on now, but yeah. Next question.
Well, really, I mean, we ought to turn to the live environment. I mean, I'm assuming you've played these plays these songs so far, or in some form or another live.
Yeah, like it's one of the few times where we've actually had a decent amount of time to trial them live. So we've been playing them live for probably close to a year now, and it's interesting seeing reactions of the crowd to songs that they've never heard. So it's nice to get that sort of instant feedback just by what you're seeing on stage.
Yeah. Has that made you just like change the tone of a couple of the songs at all? As the crowd, their reaction, have they altered how you've finished the final product?
I think in many ways it's kind of just given us confidence in certain sections. So like the bits where we see people moving, they've definitely sort of stayed exactly as they are. And then yeah, the bits where there's a bit of a dip in the mood, we have slightly tweaked.
Right.
So we do try and read what goes down well and what doesn't.
Yeah. So it's always evolving then, the whole sound, like you said.
Yeah, totally. It's and even just comments from people after the show, because the song isn't out yet, and we're lucky that we do all the production in house. Well, most production in house, so we're not relying on needing to get into a studio to make those changes. We can make them in an evening.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, did you see that? Yeah. No, I also think from a live perspective as well is we need to talk about this as musicians more, that gas or gear acquisition syndrome is a real disease. And some of us suffer it more than others, but we're very fortunate that we're so committed to sound. The way that music's evolved, certainly post pandemic, I mean, nobody uses amps anymore.
No.
There's a debate about kick triggers and drum triggers and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. I'll die on the hill. They sound better. It's cleaner. You get that better sound out of it. And we've been fortunate that all of us are all DI. So when we travel, you know that whatever gig you are going to, you will sound the same through that front of house PA. So we know what the sound is going to be roughly before we've even got there.
Yeah.
With all the backing track rig and stuff that we use, we know that if we're going to a local show where I'm taking my full kit, we can spend an hour setting up and getting it super right, versus a 15-minute changeover where it's like a Formula One pit stop. we know, bar the panic of that it's gonna sound the same to the audience. So I'm massively grateful that I've got people in the band that are willing to invest in that element of it, because the live show is really the hardest bit to get across, and I think that's kind of shown. We played a gig in Sheffield not long ago, and in the band we refer to it as doing a Sheffield. We were supporting a great band called Coyote Mad Seeds.
Yeah.
We had no expectation. I think it was a Friday night gig.
We're the out of town band.
Yeah, we're the out of town band. We've travelled. We were first there. Got talking to all the people that were there, and just went on and did our thing. And the reception was incredible. The reaction to the crowd, as a band that are first on, you never really expect much, but everybody was going nuts, and they want us back. Sheffield want us back. They're crying out for us to play, every other month, which is fantastic. The scene up there is really brilliant. So we've got to continually work on the live show. I think we've had Nick come along on board fairly recently, and we're working on that constantly. So if you think it's good now, I suppose I'm going to say the old band cliche of "we've got bigger things coming." May as well get that in there, because we're constantly working on it and we're constantly evolving it. So yeah, we're proud of that, and yeah, it's going to continue, and it will always get better.
Okay. So have you got any gigs coming up now?
Yes, so we've got a couple of gigs. 15th November in Leicester at the Metal Monocle, and then we've got 30th of November at Record Junkie in Sheffield, and that's with we're playing with a band called Tide of Fighting. That we've played a festival in Cleckheaton near Leeds a couple of times,
Right.
and this year Tide of Fighting were playing, and they was that Longest Day Festival, yeah. And this band Tide of Fighting played, and they absolutely knocked us off our feet. So we were really excited, one, to play a gig with them, but also to watch them. Yeah, cracking band, like proper, unapologetically emo band. So you know, we go for this old school I say old school. Well, yeah, it is old school now. Yeah, old school 2000 sort of vibe.
Yeah.
That they're definitely in that sort of clique. So I think it'll be a really sort of coherent night.
Okay. So looking forward, once Embodiment drops, what was it, the 18th of October?
Yes,
What are your future plans?
rinse and repeat.
No, Fafo.
Fafo, yeah. So I think all right, cheers for that. Just straight in. I think basically it's just trying to, promote the EP, to play a
Yeah.
load of gigs, try and improve. We've got plenty of songs already in the works already for the next EP. Absolutely, probably more than we can deal with actually for the next EP. So it's looking like an album's worth of content, but whether or not we're going to do an album, we haven't really chosen yet, have we?
For debate.
Yeah, it's up for debate. But there's a lot of stuff coming through the works. But I think most next year, I think we're just looking forward to just getting out and just pushing the 2 EPs worth of songs out into a live scene and try and play a lot more, especially to venues like Sheffield if we can.
And improve our the local scene. Oh, sorry. Sort of improve our image in the local scene as well, because we don't play very local very often, do we? We tend to go to other places, so it's like I'd like to engage with audiences in Birmingham, really, and sort of,
Right.
well, I think we all would. I'm not speaking for myself, but just engaging with the local people, really. And yeah, my mind's gone blank.
Yeah, I think
No difference there. Need more alcohol.
I think the difficulty is certainly with writing music in general is there's always an area of you want to write for yourself, but you've always got to write to what potential audiences might want. So you probably always, I mean, with modern technology now, you've not got to wait 12 months to release an album or an EP now, because you can just produce in your house and get all the shiny stuff done afterwards if you need to, or in a studio for little parts. So, since me and Nick have been talking, we're massive fans of Sleep Token. Obviously now you've got the new era of the new Linkin Park singer that's out.
Yeah.
So that's going to influence what people are then going to write. So you're always starting to write probably 6 or 12 months prior to when you're going to release, which means that are you going to be on trend or not? That's the really, really hard part. But again, much to what the guys are saying, the fact that we can write this music for ourselves, then turn up in certain areas and people love it, they buy t-shirts, they come out to multiple shows. That's the cherry on top of the cake. That's kind of where we're at. For me, I'd love to travel the entire country doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Scotland's somewhere that I've always wanted to go to. Further north, further south, wherever it might be, as long as we're going to travel and go places and people are reciprocal of the music, I'm quite happy to travel and go and do that. But yeah, Sheffield in particular, Liverpool, we've had a really good reception out there. Birmingham's a really difficult one to crack, even though it's our local area. It always has been, which is weird because it's the home of metal. We've got so many great metal and rock bands that have, come from this particular area. Robert Plant lives not far from me. Obviously, we got Ozzy, we've got Rob Halford. Slash was born in Stoke, so they're all fairly local, but Birmingham seems to be a really, really hard one to crack. But yeah, the north seems to be our home. It's our home, and we absolutely love it. The scenery is amazing, the people are great, and the pints are what, £2? So we are 100%. We're game for traveling that way every single day of the week. So yeah, and in terms of the music, it's whatever kind of comes out, and I suppose it's whatever I'm influenced by, or Nick's influenced by, or whatever Aaron's feeling at the time in terms of his vocal and what he wants to portray emotionally. That'll just happen, and that'll be what will be in those records. So it'll be interesting to see what the future dynamic will be, because I'm looking forward to what Nick's got hidden up his sleeve, because I think he's a bit of a guitar dark horse from what I've seen so far.
Okay, so well, Embodiment drops on the 18th. I've got to say, actually, the artwork is absolutely superb. Did you get somebody in to do that, or?
Well, Nick can tell you all about that.
Oh,
So the artwork was actually done by my wife.
okay.
So she's a very, very talented artist. She's also a photographer and things like that. She actually helped us on the first video, which me and her produced, and she's actually helped us on the new video as well. so she's very much into the band and what we're doing. But yeah, so far all the artwork on the latest stuff is all been through her.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Right, guys. Time is running out, so I shall let you go. You, it's a stunning EP, I've got to say. Absolutely brilliant. I think from what I've heard from your previous work, it's just come on leaps and bounds over the
Thank you very much.
2-3
Really
year
appreciate
period.
that.
But also, I do hope you keep the broad spectrum of what you're doing as well, because I think that will work tremendously well.
Great. I mean, that's we need. That's the feedback that we need. You know, I think. I mean, me personally, I've always been nervous about it being so broad.
Right.
Like, there's definitely split opinions in the band about it. But it's, you know, that gives us the confidence that maybe that could be a way to go. So, and yeah, and like when you listen through it, I think although it is broad, I feel it's just about cohesive. You know,
Yes.
you can still tell it's the same band.
Yeah.
You know, going from sort of emo style songs to Euro metal. There aren't many bands that do that. But if that could be our thing, yeah, totally game for that.
Okay. Ara Valley, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.